Hey, my name's Aiden, and I'm going to tell you the 5 crucial things that I did in Rocket League to rank up from Plat to Champ 2 in less than 1 month. Before we get started, I know this is quite a difficult time with the coronavirus and everything, so I do hope that all of you and your families are well. And of course, for us gamers, it's a pretty good time to stay inside and have a good excuse to keep playing some games. Now with this video, I'm going to show you just how I ranked up in Rocket League so quickly and the things that I focused on practicing and training to get better at the game. Okay, I need to be honest with you guys, I'm in a slump right now. I'm kind of finding it hard to play up to how I've been playing in the past, and I don't know why. It's like every game I go into, my hands feel like they're not doing the things I want them to, and I'm just losing all my 50s, and I don't know if I need to take a break from Rocket League, or maybe I just need to keep pushing through it. And I think I'm going to go with the latter. I'm just going to keep pushing through it, but my rank is suffering. But anyway, the point of this video is that I reached Champ 2 from being Plat 3 in less than a month. And I never thought that would be possible. I was stuck in Plat for quite a while, actually, probably for a few months. And I played Rocket League on and off, and I was always around Plat, like even from when I kind of first started out. Once I got the basics of the mechanics down, like just hitting the ball, I got to Plat pretty quickly. But I was just stuck there. So if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I did hire a Rocket League coach, and he taught me a few simple things about the game that allowed me to rank up really quickly. Now these 5 things I'm going to show you are actually quite easy to implement into your game because they're not at all mechanics, and mechanics are something that take a lot more time to train and implement into your game, because while you can do something in free play, making a habit out of it in the right situations during a game is a lot harder. Now these 5 things you may have heard of before or seen in other videos, but I'm going to point out that these are the 5 things that I did to get from Plat to Champ 2 in less than a month. Alright, so the first thing on this list is rotation. And this is definitely in order of importance. Rotation is the most important thing you need to perfect and learn to get good and rank up in Rocket League. It's more important than almost any mechanic. As long as you're hitting the ball and you're not whiffing too much, rotating is super important. Now whether you're playing 2s or 3s, this is going to be paramount to your success in Rocket League. When I was Plat, I was quite okay at hitting the ball. My reads were mediocre at best, but I felt like I wasn't the worst mechanically at that level, and I knew I was capable of more. I was holding myself back by refusing to trust my teammates, especially if I noticed he was whiffing a lot or making bad plays. This ended up with me being the universally hated Rocket League type of player, the ball chaser. Ball chasing rewarded me sometimes, and I felt like I was doing a lot, well, because I was, but I was also completely taking my teammate out of the game and putting him in awkward positions whenever I made a bad play. And that would always lead to easy goals for the other team and my teammate absolutely hating me, especially if I did it on defense. The day I decided I was going to trust my teammates more and let them play when they're closest to the ball, I started to win a lot more games. Although it's not just about letting your teammate play when you have possession, it's also about letting him go up to pressure the ball when the other team has it. Yes, you'll often feel like you aren't doing anything sitting behind your teammate, but with proper rotation you'll be cutting off angles and spaces for the opponents to play into, and you'll be way less susceptible to goals off an unfortunate 50-50. So what is good rotation? Well, there's tons of videos out there about rotation, but I'm just going to brush up on it quickly. It varies slightly between 2s and 3s, but the bare bone essentials are pretty straightforward. It took me some time to get the hang of it, but to make it easier for myself, I imagine that my position in the rotation is a lot like waiting in a queue at the supermarket. My teammate closest to the ball will be the number 1 in the queue, and then in order of closeness to the ball, you'd have second and then third, which would look like this on defense and like this on offense. Now these numbers can change depending on where the ball is on the pitch. If the ball started on the left side and you were the furthest to the right near your corner boost, one teammate is on net and the other is about to challenge. You'd be third in the queue. If the other team switches the play to the right side, you'd now become number 1 in the queue. The quicker you can react to these changes in the order of the queue, the faster you'll be rotating and the more efficient you and your teammates will be playing. Of course, this can sometimes go sideways when solo queuing or you don't have comms, because like I used to be, people aren't great at rotating quickly. But stick at it and play at the pace of your team. It's a team game and you really can only be as good or as fast as your team. So while you might be spending all of your focus trying to understand how the opponent team is playing, you need to spend just as much of that focus on understanding your own team. Of course, this doesn't mean you can't play as fast when you're in control of the ball or when you're making a challenge. I know it sounds confusing, but just try it. The next games you go into, constantly make a mental note of your position in the queue. And you may find that you're losing a few more games because you're so focused in your head about this rotation, but the more you do it, the more natural it's going to feel. Now there's one exception to this rule of rotation. Sometimes, and seriously I mean sometimes, you may need to forego your position to someone behind you. If you're in a bad position or you have a lack of momentum that someone else has, they'll be quicker to the ball than you, and if your teammate takes the initiative to do that, don't get frustrated. Allow him to take your place in the queue and swap position with him. It's really important to remember that you need to be flexible, because even if they're doing the wrong move, if you don't accept your position in the queue, you're opening a huge gap for the opponent team. So this brings me to my next point, or in fact, my next 2 points. Positioning on defense. So what makes good positioning on defense? Well, it's strongly related to your rotation, because with each position in the queue comes different responsibilities. And it all depends on the current game situation. So I'll show you a few scenarios that I've taken from my games. So the first scenario, you're second in the rotation, one of your teammates is going up to the challenge, the ball is being played towards your backboard or a high shot on goal. You need to assume your teammate is going for the challenge and is going to lose that challenge. And I know I just said you should trust your teammates, but when it comes to defending, the only thing on your mind should be protect the goal. So in this situation, the ball's going high, so positioning yourself on the ground is going to take you a lot more time and effort to get up to that ball. Starting on the wall or the backboard will make it a lot easier for you to reach the ball and give you more time to get a meaningful hit. Even if you aren't comfortable with wall clears, just getting the slightest touch can misdirect your opponents, leading to a turnover of possession. Of course, if you're not confident with the wall clears, you may sometimes accidentally pass the ball to your opponent in front of your net, but we just have to accept it as it is. It's all part of the learning curve, and the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. It's almost as if doing something repeatedly over and over makes you better at it. So the second scenario, your team was attacking, you were number 3 in the rotation, but your team just turned over possession, and the opponents are making a quick transition play. You're now number 1 in the queue, and your brain might be telling you to challenge the ball. Now this would be a mistake. Your teammates are out of position, perhaps you're a little bit too far away from each other, and you need to buy them time. This is when you want to know how to shadow your opponent, and when it is safe enough to do so, for example when the opponent takes a bad touch, you could fake a challenge, forcing the opponents to rush his move and make a suboptimal play. In this case, you always want to be heading back towards your goal while staying close enough to the opponent that you want to remove some of his angles to play the ball. Make sure you are goal side of the opponent. That means being more towards the center of the pitch rather than the outside, but still staying on the same side as your opponent. The outside is the least dangerous zone, as the scoring opportunity for the opponent is much lower, so when it comes to hitting the ball, get it wide. So scenario number 3. So you're number 3 in the queue on defense. Your only job is to protect that back post until number 1 makes a challenge, and you'll then move into position 2 to protect the front post. It's really as simple as that. You'll probably want to be on the lookout to dodge an incoming demo if you're playing a really aggressive opponent. If the ball comes your way, the best thing to do is to clear it away from the play. Never ever clear the ball through the center unless you're 100% certain you can boom it towards the other goal. 9 times out of 10, there'll be an opponent waiting in the center for an easy shot on your net. Getting the ball away from the opponent is going to relieve the pressure from you and your team, giving you the time to take a touch and set up a transition play. Now, I could go through a lot more scenarios and best practices here, but for the sake of time, let's move on to positioning on offense. In theory, positioning on offense should be pretty simple. One player is on the ball, the second player is 1 square away from that teammate and a little bit behind him, preferably in the center, waiting for a pass or rebound, and the third player is behind that second player, again 1 square away on the pitch. This is pretty much the extent of my positioning on offense, which is why I'm not nearly as good in attack as I am when I am defending. I'm not really quite as flexible, but it comes down to reading the play. Where the ball's going, what positions are the opponents in, where will you be able to get a touch on the ball, and where can you make yourself an easy option for a pass. So let's look at a couple scenarios. Scenario number 1, you're number 2 in the queue, and your teammate is on the ball taking it up the wall towards their backboard. You want to be in the center just outside of their penalty area, which is the marked area in front of the goal. You should be on the edge of it waiting for a pass, and you really want to be anticipating that so you can get up to the ball faster than your opponents. Be ready, but don't be overzealous. If you pre-jump this, and yes, you might want to pre-jump sometimes, but if your teammate doesn't pass the ball, or the pass is bad and it goes to the opponent, you're taking yourself out of the game completely. As my coach always told me, spend as much time as possible on the ground because you can build up momentum there way more efficiently as well. So the second scenario for offensive positioning, you're number 3 in the queue, your teammates are closing in on the goal, you need to hold your nerve and not get sucked into the attack. I know it's really tempting to get involved and secure a goal, but you need to be aware of the danger of getting into the play. You have to understand that in Rocket League, the play can turn over very quickly, and you're basically a defender at this point. The moment you become an attacker is when your teammate on the ball has made his play and is rotating out. Now you know you can go in to support your other teammate, but only then. This might be seen as playing too safe and passive, but if you do this, you're going to concede way less of those what we sometimes call lucky goals, where the opponent's 50 your teammate and pinch the ball into your net. Now again, there could be countless scenarios here, but we'll save it for another time. So we've covered my top 3 points in climbing ranked, and to me, they're really going to be the foundations of climbing ranked all the way until GC, although I can't say for sure given I'm C2, but I'm pretty confident about it. So the next point is going to be about boost, in particular about picking up pads. One of my friends is currently Plat, and he does something that I used to do a lot. I'll have the ball, I'm making a play towards the opponent's net, I take a shot and they make a save, the ball landing just outside of their area in the center of the pitch. This is the perfect chance for my teammate to score. Only there's one problem. He's too far away because he was out of boost and picking up a corner boost or the big mid boost out of the side. I'll probably say something like, dude, where the fuck are you? And he'll say, I had no boost, man. I couldn't be there. Now, this is the most untrue thing I've ever heard. Even if you have 0 boost, you should always keep position and pressure on the opponents. Just being there on 0 boost is more danger to them than not being there at all. On top of that, you've got loads of little boost pads all around the center and midfield. You do not need to compromise your position ever to get boost. You also do not need 100 boost to make a shot. So make sure you hang around, pick up the small pads and be ready for the play. Just to demonstrate this, let's zoom out and take a look at some of the boost pattern. Now the same goes for when you're on defense. I know it's terrifying when the other team is taking shots and making plays and you're running out of boost. But the worst thing you can do is give up your position and go for a corner boost. You're just giving the other team loads of space to play into in front of your net. Go for pads. I cannot stress this enough. If you pay a lot of attention to your positioning, you can save pretty much any shot with just 12 boost anyway. That's 1 pad. That's all you need. I know it's far from a best case scenario, but it's better than not being there at all. So we're going to move on to the 5th and final point, and that's just keeping it simple. Look, I know getting clips is really satisfying, and I'm the first person to hit F8 to get that GIF your game replay of that double touch or air dribble or pinch goal, but it's so much harder to score like this than just keeping it simple. Take shots, take a lot of them, get power on them, and you will starve the other team of boost. Make simple passes. Stop trying to dribble with the ball on top of your car and flick it to your teammate. Stop going for musty flicks. It's really unnecessary. Do the simple things first and do them well. The rule I have for myself is to do 5 simple plays well before going for something more special. This is also going to help in making you less predictable and building up your confidence. I'm C2 and I probably have the worst mechanics of anyone at C2. But I do the simple things really well, and that combined with good positioning and good rotation has earned me a place there. Alright, so those are my 5 most crucial points to climbing ranked fast in Rocket League. And you know what? I'll throw in a bonus one just to help you out. Don't panic and don't get tilted. It doesn't matter how bad things are going, just stay focused on what needs to be done and turn off chat if it helps. I'm Aiden, and as always, I've really enjoyed making this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those things. So until next time, peace out.